a show about success and featuring local leaders and people in local business. And now here's your host, Ryan Howe.
Good morning, everyone. We have a great show for you today. I'm Ryan Howe, founder of Summit Business Guides, where I help executive teams with strategic planning and guide them as they implement the Pinnacle business operating system so they can grow their businesses faster than they ever thought possible. You can learn more at summitbusinessguides.com. So this show is all about learning about our guest leadership journey, and joining us today is Brandy Miller from the Chamber Alliance of Mason County. Morning, Brandy.
Good morning.
Well, thank you so much, whatever you did to bring the rain this morning.
Yeah.
There's folks, my folks that are east of Stiles are ecstatic right now to be getting this rain coming through. So,
Yeah.
But the sun will be here later. Get folks to the beach.
Yeah, we still need a Chamber of Commerce day.
Yeah, no worries there. So, how you doing? How's things been?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
No, great. So, before we get into you, one of the questions I did want to ask was about the name change from basically incorporating all of the county underneath there. How did that come about?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of people after COVID and through COVID, we were doing a lot of internal thinking about who are we, what are we doing now, how have things changed, and one of the things we wanted to be more intentional about was being inclusive of our entire kind of territory, which is all of Mason County. And so, and we also really focused on that word alliance. We work with so many different partner organizations and collaborate with so many different entities. We really consider ourselves a one-stop shop, and that alliance is what I think is most valuable to our business community at this point, is that we can connect you with people and resources and other entities and kind of get you where you need to go faster because we have those strong partnerships. And so, we really wanted to make sure our name and our brand was very reflective of the work that we currently do. Mm-hmm. And it's not a typical Chamber of Commerce. We are a very unique organization, even in the state. So
and that's something I wanted to talk about here, and we're gonna get into you in a second. But I want to actually talk about the first time I think we ever shared words. I'd been here, started my business back in August, September of last year, and I was at your team actually gave me the opportunity to do a lunch and learn without having any idea who I was. I just basically said, hey, I got this thing I'd like to be able to talk with folks about, and then you showed up, and I just remember again with your staff and everybody, but you sat right at the front and you started taking notes, and I was like,
Yes.
Oh, okay. And you were lots of questions, so it was really great. So for me personally, I appreciate giving me the opportunity to help get my name out there a little bit, and it's been great. So with that, you're actually a Ludington native, correct?
Yes, yep, born and raised. And left briefly to go to college, but pretty much have lived my entire life here.
And so obviously you went to school here in Ludington.
Yes.
And so tell me about your time in school. Did you like school?
I did, yes.
Okay, you're one of those.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
I can't say it was always for the academic reasons.
Okay.
I've always been a high achiever in terms of caring a lot about my performance, but I was certainly a social butterfly, and that was reflective on most of my report cards that I was very social.
Okay, all right.
I loved that aspect.
Yeah, now you did have from what I understand, a somewhat influential father during your school years. For the folks that don't know, if you could say who your dad was and kind of how that affected things with you.
When I was in junior high, my dad was elected mayor in the city of Ludington, and prior to that, he was on the county commission, and but that definitely set a different tone for my school age years. I certainly had to mind my P's and Q's a little better.
You were always make sure you weren't too visible on the extracurricular activities, basically.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yep. But I always had a great example in someone growing up and what the importance of community looked like and volunteering and making sure I was engaged in my high school career. That was definitely shaped by having my dad very involved in the community. And
you were voluntold for a lot of events around the area, I'm assuming.
That is a very familiar term, yes, voluntold.
No, trust my time in the Air Force, they introduced that to me rather quickly. It was like, hey, we're going to go help out the food bank. Oh, okay.
Got it.
This isn't volunteering. No. Okay. But with that, though, and this is one where I go back to a lot of folks who are in leadership positions that I really, it's it's on us. It's supposed to be for us to basically say, hey, I understand you taking a Saturday to go pick up, an hour to go pick up trash on the highway doesn't sound all that much fun. However, let's go out and do it, and then talk afterwards what it was like.
Yes.
And for me, it's just getting folks to understand the actual giving back portion. You get so much in return. I imagine that's been your experience probably with that as well.
Yeah. From an early age, like you have that immediate like gratification of being able to help or see the impact on our community or whatever it is you're working on in a special project like that. And so that tends to feed the next opportunity, and you are more apt to just seek those opportunities out, I think, after you have a great experience. And so, yeah, I think, like you said, there is a sacrifice. And I think, in my role and even in, your social circle too, I find myself connecting that why. Like, why are we doing this? And why is this important? Even if there isn't then a very visible connect to whatever the cause is or the volunteer piece is. But I think, sharing the why is helpful to communicate to everybody.
Oh, yeah, sure. If you're just joining us, we're talking with Brandy Miller from the Chamber Alliance of Mesa County here on Leading West Michigan. I'm Ryan Howe, and again, this show is all about learning about how our guests' leadership journey basically got them to where they are today. So back to the high school piece there.
Yeah.
So I always try to go back to my guests, and one of the things that I found is pretty much standard across the board is that there has been one or two individuals, teachers, coaches, whoever it was, during those formative years that had a significant impact on you and helped you focus. Is there somebody you can think, one or two people you can think right off the top of your head, and how they helped you?
I think the teachers that always stick out in my mind, and I actually have the pleasure of working with one of them today, are always the ones that I think treated me not as a student, but treated me almost not as an equal, but I think just there was a human element, and I always really appreciated that influence in terms of like more of like a mentor, more of a facilitator, and less of like a teacher-student traditional relationship. And that human element is always what's kind of stuck out to me. There was always like humor and, wanting to know more about me, not just what I was, being asked to do in whatever class it was. The couple people that always stick out in my mind, especially from high school, Amy Stone. She was one of my math teachers. Dan Mesher was my government teacher at the time, and I also ended up being his TA one semester in my senior year, which was fun. And
wait, a government teacher?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he was my government teacher then.
Okay,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. And they're those two in particular, and the one that I still work with, Christy Zimmerman, she was my psychology teacher at the time, and so.
Oh, she probably just got in your head and made you like her, something like that. That's not, knowing
she's
Christy,
pretty good at that.
she probably did some voodoo with you on that. So, no, okay.
Yeah.
So, and again, it just goes back to the idea that there are people in the community who will, again, especially at that age, will spend time and mentor you, but also for those folks who may have individuals in that junior high school that are in your circle. Don't overlook your impact on those individuals.
Yeah,
they're going to learn from you what to do and also what not to do.
Yes,
and on basically on their journey. So, okay, so after high school, you made your way down to Grand Valley State University. Now, when I look up your degree,
yes,
it was basically for advertising and marketing. Correct? Or advertising?
And public relations.
And public relations. That was it. Okay, so I got that. So I'm just curious, how did you decide you wanted to go into advertising? Because typically people just don't say, you know what, I'm getting an advertising degree. What was it about it, or what was it that it just felt right to you? Yeah,
that journey, all through, like I mentioned, all through school, my communication skills were noted.
Okay.
And I always knew that I wanted to work with people. And one of the things my parents always told me was like, you should be a lawyer, because I don't want to say argumentative, but I always...
what would you say then?
I didn't argue for the argument's sake, but I definitely wanted to have my point heard, especially if I had a different opinion. And so my parents constantly were like, you should be a lawyer. You should be a lawyer. So I was pre-law for a good portion of my early days at Grand Valley. And then as I started to think about what next steps look like for law school, I was like, I am not made to stick my face in a book for 3 years. I love social interaction. I love problem solving. I love working with people. And I just do even though that's a means to an end, I just knew that I was not going to be happy. And so advertising and public relations is in the School of Communications. And so there was the logical jump of there was already a lot of crossover with some of the classes I had already taken. So it wouldn't have delayed my end date or expected graduation date. But that aspect of public relations was really more of my focus. And I have a minor in political science too. So I got to check all the boxes, work with people, think about how I can be influential. And my political science stuff always was of interest to me too.
Yeah. Well, considering your success and the development of your team around you and everything, I think you've definitely made the right decision. But, when you're going through college, at what point though did you transition from other people's opinion on what you should do versus what you all of a sudden no, this is a better calling for me?
Yeah. That was definitely the conversation I had. I remember talking to my parents about it and they're like, "What, you got to be able to pay for this degree. What are your next steps?" And at that point, I think I was maybe midway through my sophomore year. I had no idea what I was going to do. But I just knew it felt better for me in my gut. And that's something I think that I've been good at always tuning into is following my gut. And I remember a pretty strong phone call with my dad, and he was and I was like, I just know that this is it. I just knew, and that was, I didn't have anything really tangible to show or to give as indication that I, would be successful or that I would ever be able to pay for my degree. But I knew at that point, I'm like, no, this is a better fit. It felt better. And I just knew I wasn't going to be able to sustain law school.
How was the pressure leading up to that phone call conversation for you? I mean, again, where we talk about, and this is just for those folks that are listening, parents and, any younger folks that may be listening, there's a transition in your life where you are going in the direction people say you should be going. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I want to go somewhere else. And having that conversation, having a plan for it, the conversation is very important, knowing what's going to happen. But just understanding that piece, that we all go through it, and that conversation has to take place one or the other. So just how was the pressure building up that, especially knowing that this has probably been in the works for a little bit with your family, this understanding?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think if I look back at that time, having that conversation was difficult. But I always had really strong open communication lines with both my parents. And so I knew I could have that conversation, but I think not always having the plan, which I am a planner. Okay. So that felt unnatural to me too.
Sure.
And I think, thinking about what my parents would say and making sure I had at least somewhat of an answer beforehand was helpful. But I mean, at the end of the day, I knew my parents would be supportive of me. I wasn't fearful of the outcome. I just knew there was going to be a little extra proving myself.
Well, I have a feeling there was a Brandy. Are you sure?
Yes.
Have you thought this out? Yeah. Yes. So we're continuing our conversation with Brandy Miller from the Chamber Alliance of Mason County, and we basically just finished up that little bit about the college years and that transition to now. Okay, I've made a decision. This is what I want to go into, and then you said, "Hey, all right, I'm going to go back to Ludington and make it work there." So the question that, again, me as someone who left and came back, I came back after 25 years. Situations change, but for you, right out of college, saying, "Okay, I've got my degree. I'm going to go back and put it to work in Ludington." Why did you decide to make that decision versus maybe staying in the Grand Rapids area or heading further south of I-96?
Yeah, part of it was necessity at the time. I really had not lined up much after graduation at that point, and I knew I had a summer job to come back to, my high school and college summer job. I came back and I worked at the municipal marina. I was a dockhand there.
Okay.
So I knew I had the summer to kind of figure it out. I had done an internship the previous year with downtown Ludington. I had actually helped plan the first ball drop while I was in college. That was part of my internship.
Okay.
Yep. And
the ball drop, just for folks that may not know.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, our New Year's Eve ball drop that still continues today. That was one of the things my parents had come down and to see me in Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids at the time did a ball drop. And my dad always was like, whenever we would travel, was like, we could do that in Ludington. And that was one of the things. And so when I came back, part of my internship was planning that first ball drop.
And this year's was pretty big. Like it was, it was very well attended.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I think we had over 6,000 people downtown. Cold night in late December, early January.
Early January, late December, but it was so many people.
Yes.
So that's great to see how that's grown. So But you were doing your basically work dockhand and also again continuing your work as an intern.
Yeah. So I had made a lot of I had a lot of introductions that previous summer when I was doing my internship. And so when I came back, I just started kind of seeking out, like, how can I volunteer? Or do you have special projects I can help with? I'm here for the summer. And, that process really helped open up some additional conversations. Kathy McLean, who was the president and CEO at the chamber, reached out to me about an opportunity that fall. And that really kind of just set the ball rolling to kind of where I am today.
Yeah, and this opportunity that basically what was this opportunity?
Yeah, so they reached out to me at the time. The chamber was still in charge of Scottsville Harvest Festival.
Okay, got it.
And she had known that I had been involved with Friday Night Live and planning of the ball drop through my internship. And the Harvest Festival was kind of going through a transition at the time. And that year in particular, it was going to look a little bit more like a Friday Night Live. They didn't have the big carnival.
Okay.
And so she said, hey, could you come in and help? And so I said, yeah. She said, I've got a brief contract, one-time project, and let's see how it goes. So, yeah.
Okay. And and I can imagine that was this, they handed it to you outright and said, go run this thing?
Not entirely.
Okay.
I had a small component of Harvest Festival that was my responsibility, which was kind of the Main Street activities, which again mimicked a little bit of what Friday Night Live looked like at the time. So I was just given a small piece, but and so I was working with their full-time event coordinator with the chamber, and then Kathy McLean herself. And so again, you get to meet a lot of other people when you're doing that kind of work.
Yeah.
And so just being reintroduced in the community, that opened up conversations in other spaces.
Especially, again, as somebody who grew up in Custer, the Scottsville Harvest Festival is always a thing, obviously making our way down there. And the transitions it's gone through over the years to like this last year, what Scottsville did, I thought was pretty innovative as far as finding a way to get people together and again to head to that side of the county possibly to see what's going on over there. So but no, it's been good. So and your story is just so great though. And it's something that we're all looking for, especially in this area, is those individuals who are, do well. They are able to help out the community while they're here. They're able to go, if they need to go for education or experience somewhere else to be able to round out, but also to find out who they are. Again, I'm one of those individuals where, growing up next to the farmer, I had no idea what I wanted to do, so I had to leave. It took me 25 years to figure out what I wanted to do, but I still came back. But it's getting that information, learning, and then bringing that skill set back here in a way to help. Yeah. And also that energy of knowing that you can revitalize, help to get revitalized or continue the great stuff that's been going here. So, again, in your case, that's absolutely fantastic. And we got a little under a minute here, Brandy, so I just want to ask one real quick question.
Yes.
Is When people saw that you were back and staying, what was their experience? Like, what did you get from them? Were they like excited?
Yeah, there weren't a lot of young people at that time necessarily coming back. So people were like, what are you doing? What are you up to? And a lot of questions about what next steps look like.
Yep.
So,
and I remember that transition that was occurring. So,
Yes.
All right. So again, you've been listening to Leading West Michigan on 102.7 WMOM. You can also listen at home on your Amazon, Alexa, or Google Home smart devices. Streaming online at WMOM.FM and live video streams on the 102.7 WMOM Facebook page, like right now, and WMOM YouTube channel. So let's take our first break, and when we return, we'll talk about your return to the area and then your work in the community, basically going forward.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, sunshine, from Kim and Kelly at the Sister Bees Boutique on James Street, downtown Ludington.
We've got big news. Sister Bees would like to announce the release of our first ever limited supply blueberry blossom honey.
This local small batch honey has a creamy, smooth flavor and is so different from anything we've ever offered before. We can't wait for you to try it.
Our blueberry blossom honey has been collected from bees that have harvested the pollen of northern Michigan blueberry blossoms. From the comb to the table, this honey will coat your taste buds in summertime sweetness.
We always offer free samples, and when you stop by the boutique and mention WMOM, we'll treat you to a free lip balm with any purchase of $20 or more.
From our hive to your home, we hope to see you soon.
Did someone say $2 drinks? Applebee's has $2 Long Island iced teas for a limited time. Who doesn't love a good deal on drinks just in time for summer? Enjoy your Long Island with one of Applebee's delicious half-off appetizers during happy hour. Happy hour is Monday through Friday, 3 to 6, and every day of the week after 9 p.m. Head to Ludington Applebee's on US 10 right across from Meyer. Don't have time to dine in? No worries. Just order online at applebees.com or order with the Applebee's app for quick carside to go. If you're looking for a fun and fast-paced career, we've got you covered. Applebee's is hiring for all positions: cooks, servers, hosts, and dishwashers. We hope to see you soon, either as a guest or a new team member.
Hi, this is David from West Michigan CMH. Did you know that we have free Narcan and free fentanyl test strips and vending machines at each site in Lake, Mason, and Oceana County? Although residents can get the fentanyl test strips and Narcan for free, getting it into the hands of individuals who are at risk of overdose or their loved ones can be a challenge. These machines will provide an easy access point right in each of our lobbies at 920 Diana Street in Ludington, 105 Lincoln Street in Hart, and 1090 North Michigan Avenue in Baldwin. Thank you to the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services for making this possible. If anyone in our community is struggling with substance uses and would like to work towards remission and recovery, call us today at 1-800-992-2061. That's 1-800-992-2061.
Looking for a stable job? House of Flavors Manufacturing has been around for years and offers amazing advantages like year-round stability, full benefits, paid time off, growth opportunities, and free ice cream. House of Flavors Manufacturing is hiring for second and third shift positions. A shift premium is paid to all second and third shift employees. House of Flavors off-shift positions start at $18 an hour. The ability to work in a team environment is very essential. Apply today online at House of Flavors Manufacturing and click on the Careers tab. House of Flavors Manufacturing is an equal opportunity employer.
Stay tuned for A Mom's Fridge Magnet, underwritten by Watson Motors, Community Mental Health, McGee Insurance, and Lakeshore Automotive and Tire.
Hi, Ryan here from Lakeshore Automotive and Tire. Rolling down your windows is nice and all to save gas. But what if you're stuck in traffic, especially with it being busy season here in downtown Ludington? Those windows being down won't help you cool off at a standstill. Call Lakeshore Automotive and Tire to get your vehicle's air conditioning recharged and working how it should at 231-425-3526. Again, that's 231-425-3526.
Here at Watson Motors for Ludington's 150th birthday, we are giving you 15% off your AC recharge. Watson's doesn't want you baking in the sun with 90-degree weather. We want you to enjoy your drive, feeling relaxed and comfortable. Watson Motors, our name means a great deal.
On July 26th, Faith Covenant Church in Manistee is having Wednesday Summer Morning Blast from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. This blast is for upper elementary kids that want to believe, learn, and seek truth. If your organization has an event that you'd like to promote for free, reach out to us. Mom's Fridge Magnet is a free community calendar of announcements and underwritten by Watson Motors, Lakeshore Automotive and Tire, McGee Insurance, and West Michigan CMH on 102.7 Mom FM.
You're tuned in to Leading West Michigan, and today's special guest is Brandy Miller of Chamber Alliance of Mason County. Once again, your host, Ryan Howe on 102.7 WMOM.
Welcome back. I'm Ryan Howe from Summit Business Guides, and we're continuing our conversation with Brandy Miller. Now, before the break, we were discussing your work in the community, and I want to focus on a couple things. Let's start with the Ludington Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. One, I don't know if folks actually know what that is.
Yes.
But two, that is it's actually not part of the chamber.
No.
So if you could, enlighten us. What's going on with that?
Sure. Yeah. Often people just quickly use the acronym CVB, and I think a lot of people use that interchangeably with chamber. And that's because our staff work for both organizations, but they are separate organizations. They are separate membership organizations, separate funding structures, and different missions, and so and separate boards as well. So as a chamber employee, we also work for the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and I kind of took that path for quite a while in my early days with the chamber. As things changed, I moved up from communications and events with the chamber, and I switched over right away to marketing director.
Yeah, I saw the marketing
CVB.
director. Look at you, boom, right up to the director level.
Yeah.
Look at you. Handle
Yes.
it, okay?
Their director at the time had left. The board was kind of going through some growing pains about what their future direction looked like, but they, as a marketing organization, and that's really the CVB's purpose, is we are a destination marketing organization. There's an assessment collected from overnight stays in Mason County, and that's the main funding source for the CVB. And that money is dedicated to marketing Mason County as a destination for leisure travel. And so I really got to put my skills to work with all my advertising and PR background, and that was like my first flex.
So you got to use your degree.
Yes,
there
exactly.
You go.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So, that was kind of my first flex of using my actual degree. And I loved that part. Like growing up here and having left, I didn't realize how unique Ludington is. And I think I don't think that's a unique experience for me. I think a lot of people who grow up here are excited to go experience the world. They're like, I'm getting out of Ludington. It's such a small town, and all of those things, all those feelings I had too. But then you get other places, and you're like, wow, Ludington is so special, and I live by the water, and I was at Grand Valley and Allendale. There's no water.
Yep. So one of the things, just real quick, let me jump in there, is so my sister-in-law was visiting a few weeks ago with my niece, and we took them out to the lake, and she's like, this is an ocean.
Yeah.
For a lot of folks, especially when they live inland, they're like, they actually come out and forget how big our lake is, and we've got the beautiful Stearns Park right there, the beach, to be able to get after it. So, so a question on that piece, what were the metrics that you had to hit? Like, how was that? Like, I see how it's measured, but like, what were some of the metrics you had to hit?
Yeah, and in that very early stage, we were still very new to collecting 5% assessment, which doubled the budget for the CVB. And so at that time, we were really heavy in developing assets and brand. And that was the beginning of Pure Ludington. It was the early days of Pure Michigan. One of my first projects was developing our website and a whole rebrand there. So it really was asset development at that point and continuing to build brand. And so the measurements really are year over year. Are we seeing growth in terms of assessments? Are we seeing visitation? Are we seeing our hotels?
We want to see the trend moving up instead of down. Got it.
Yes.
Okay. So we're continuing our conversation with Brandy Miller from the Chamber Alliance of Mason County, and we're just talking about her time with the CVB, where you started into marketing, but then moved into executive director.
Yep.
And how did that come about?
Yeah, at that time, the board, or at least my recollection of that time, it was that, okay, yes, we do want an executive director. We don't really, the marketing director role is pretty much what we're expecting of an executive director at this point. And so, I just transitioned, slid over, and I started doing more than of all of the kind of board work, board meetings and all that work. So though that was the only addition, but in terms of all the marketing and the focus, the focus of our organization, that was very much still the main components of my role as executive director.
I get it. No, and that's a natural transition again, especially considering what it's supposed to be doing.
Yes.
You move up there. So
mission.
Then you had an opportunity, it looks, to go out to basically CTE. So if you can explain to folks what CTE is and what you did there.
Yeah. So I had a moment where I was like, okay, I'm always looking. I tend to get a little bored at times. Like, I'm like, what's next? I need a new challenge. I need a new project. And I'm always hungry for like the next problem to solve. Okay. And so at the CVB, I'm like, okay, I've done this for a while. What are other opportunities? And this opportunity presented itself. And I wasn't necessarily looking, but it kind of fell in my lap of like, hey, CTE is hiring a marketing and business teacher for CTE for high school students, and it's all about career development and exposing them to different careers at a more intimate level.
And CTE is out at the
Career Tech Education, and that is a partnership between the ESD and West Shore Community College.
Great.
So students from 15 different schools within the service area of the ESD come out to the college twice a day for longer extended periods. I think the classes are like 2.5 hours. But it's part of their curriculum, and those students have the choice of participating. And I think there's 13 or 14 different programs. And again, it's all about career exploration and learning a little bit more. My background in marketing and working with businesses definitely was a good fit. It was a complete lane change for me, and I learned that.
In what way?
Teaching what you do is so different. And so instead of just doing. And so I think, that made me better when I came back later, is that I've learned how to facilitate and mentor and teach what I do. I'm not necessarily just the doer anymore.
Yeah.
And so
that's another one too, where I've always recommended that leaders who want to get better at what they do find a way to teach what they do.
Yes.
And especially in a group of people that don't know, because you're going to find out real quick when you're standing and trying to say words and you don't have a full grasp of what you're trying to teach, and they know it. Yeah. You'll see those eyes look at you like, okay, all right.
And high school students, they are critical.
And they call you on everything immediately, which is good though.
Honest. Yes.
Again, it keeps your edge sharp. So so the teaching out there, that was a couple years though that you did.
Yeah, yep. I think it was 2.5 years that I did, and I still actually throughout that time though was doing marketing on a contract basis for the Convention of Visitors Bureau. So I never really
that makes sense. So Brandy,
I never really completely separated myself, and that worked because on a teacher's schedule, which I never was used to, you get out at 3 and you have summers off. I'm like, I'm going to be bored.
Yeah, no.
So it was a good transition to still keep my foot in with marketing Ludington and doing all of that creative stuff, which I really love, but then still do the CTE and the day-to-day.
And then also I'm imagining, were you able to help some of those young men and women as far as for either internship opportunities or to placement, to maybe help them with some stuff?
Yeah, a little bit. At that point, they're, these are juniors and seniors, and so they're just thinking about what next steps look like. I was able, I think, to hopefully draw more of my connections from my previous work with the Chamber and CVB in one of our projects that I recall doing was we actually worked with the radio station and Timango, and my students got to write 30-second copy for advertisements, and they got to come in and pick which one they really liked, and then the students got to come and see that advertisement created.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I think building more of those real world applications of some of that stuff, that project-based learning, that was always very appealing, and I was able to always draw those connections together.
Yeah, and in our last basically minute or so we have here, if you could talk about, you mentioned boards, and boards are so important to if you have the opportunity to get involved, be it in a business, board for a business or for a nonprofit or something. So could you give a couple seconds on that?
Yeah, I find such value in making just a strong network of people. And so boards, volunteer boards, committees, project type work, it opens up so many more introductions to people and resources, and I've just always found that to be so helpful in all of my other areas, is that I can draw connections, I can introduce people. There's always synergy and partnership and collaboration between work, and so to be able to identify that and make those connections has always been helpful on a personal and professional level. And
you also get to see a little bit more about how businesses get to where they need to be at and stuff. So
how the sausage is made.
Yeah, exactly. So, how are we doing on time, Ashley? 10 seconds. Okay. Well, again, you've been listening to Brandy Miller from the Chamber Alliance of Mason County on Leading West Michigan, and we will follow more up with her after the break.
Blue Moon Bubblegum, Mackinac Island Peanut Butter Fudge, Chocolate Peanut Truffles and Fudge, and Michigan Pothole. We all know these signature favorites from House of Flavors, right? Did you know when you work at House of Flavors Manufacturing, you get free ice cream to take home? House of Flavors Manufacturing is hiring for all positions in every shift. Take pride in your work and do it to the best of your abilities. Commitment and reliability. Career growth and development is available if you are committed and desire and achieve even more when you work at House of Flavors Manufacturing. Want to know something else? At House of Flavors Manufacturing, you get to work in the cold. With summer being here, I'm sure you would want to be working in a freezer instead of the hot, humid outdoor weather and get paid an amazing wage for doing so. Interested in working at House of Flavors Manufacturing? Go to the House of Flavors Manufacturing website and click on the Careers tab and apply now.
Summer barbecue, summer weddings, summer camping, summertime at the beach, and it's just the beginning. Hi, it's Natalie at the Cedar Chest Consignment Shop here in Ludington. We've got what you need for all those occasions and more, so you're always fashionable and comfy and your wallet doesn't take a hit. Come browse our huge store of clothing, accessories, and home decor for men, women, and juniors with daily sales up to 75% off. Come dress your best for less at the Cedar Chest, located in beautiful downtown Ludington.
Jessica here from St. John's Home Healthcare. Do you have a passion for taking care of others? Then St. John's Home Healthcare is the place to start your lifelong career. St. John's is dedicated to pairing you with a client that allows you both to create a special bond. We will provide one-on-one training to ensure you feel comfortable and appropriately challenged in your day-to-day career. St. John's is hiring in Ludington, Muskegon, Cadillac, and other various areas throughout the state. St. John's offers 401k matching, flexible scheduling, full health care, short-term and supplemental insurances, along with many other benefits to support you as a person and not just a worker. So if you're someone with the passion and skill to care for others who have medical needs, then apply at our main office located here in beautiful Ludington at 609 North Washington Avenue, or apply online today.
Corey here from Lakeshore Automotive and Tire. Allergies are bad this year. Don't roll your windows down and inhale the awful pollen flying around. Turn on your vehicle's AC and feel the cold breeze coming through your vents. Don't think your car's AC is performing as it should? Call Lakeshore Automotive and Tire to get your AC recharged and the cabin vent filter changed. Since not only will the new cabin air filter improve the quality of the air inside your vehicle, but it will also significantly improve the airflow from your vehicle's heating and air conditioning system. Head to Lakeshore Automotive and Tire or call 231-425-3526. That's 231-425-3526. And get your vehicle's AC unit checked on any make or model vehicle.
We're back with more of Leading West Michigan with special guest Brandy Miller of Chamber Alliance of Mason County. Now, once again, your host, Ryan Howe on 102.7 WMOM.
Welcome back. And before the break, again, we were talking with Brandy about her time with CTE. And now, before we move on to the next area here, I am a huge advocate for mentors and mentorship. And I want to go back to your dad.
Yeah.
You had access to a mentor that in your area of expertise where you were starting to work at, you could reach out.
Yeah.
And be able to say, "Hey, Dad, I got this thing." What was that like? And could you also maybe just spend a couple seconds talking about not making sure it was your work and not, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I think you know where I'm going with this. So I'd like to hear more because you've done a great job of that. So
thank you. Yeah. I mean, having access to someone that has been a leader in many different capacities, has a ton of experience, I wanted to, as my dad, I always wanted, to know his opinion of things. But to have someone who's like lived it, walked it is a different perspective. Yep. Yeah. And as, I've come across, opportunities to seek, his input and his opinion, I've always really valued. And some people might see that as a negative, but I've really found that to be so valuable in so many ways.
Yeah, I was saying, having access to, again, mentor like that, it's saying in the military, and again, basically most of my life has been finding mentors, and it didn't matter where they're at.
Yeah.
You find advice and people you trust wherever they are, and you just happen to have one that was, basically shared a roof with for a while.
Yes.
But also very niche, like actually knows the area, knows the folks to be able to say, hey, in this case, don't forget this when you go into this meeting. Like, okay. Yeah. Which, and good for you. And I say this as looking backward here, the community has only done better because of that. Has been more successful by able to continue with that information rather than you trying to figure it out on your own.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yep.
He does HR by day, and so I have that aspect when I'm dealing with things in my leadership capacity too that I can lean on him with or for. And, I think having someone easy access and someone I trust who's always looking out in my best interest too was very helpful because I could trust the advice he was giving and there wasn't any other motivation behind, that advice. Yeah.
Exactly. No. So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say I didn't always just blindly. Maybe that's where you were gonna go.
I was gonna. Well, I mean, it's apparent though that just with the things that are here going on in the community, that you get advice, you make good decisions with your team, and go forward off your team. It's basically just another data point, possible reference whenever you might need it from that individual.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. And people who've worked with my dad, sometimes in the same project or the same circle, no, I'm not afraid to say, no, I'm going in a different direction here.
Oh, that's good.
And I always was very clear with my dad that as I was establishing myself back here, I never wanted him to make the asks or open any doors for me.
Yep.
And I probably was more sensitive to that early on than I am now. But I wanted to make sure that I was earning my own respect and was provided opportunities on my own merit and my own performance.
And that's, again, it's readily apparent on there. I just, it's one of those things where folks, they get the wrong opinion about stuff, and they just need to understand it's a data point.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, moving on to the next spot here with basically as president, CEO of the chamber, I want to talk about your time with the chamber. The board didn't hire your dad; they hired you.
Exactly.
Okay, and going through that, they did that for a reason, and it has to probably with a long history of the work that you did in and around the chamber. So, if you want to talk about how you got on with the chamber as you moved up.
Yeah. Well, I also had a great mentor in my predecessor, Kathy McLean.
Yeah.
Coming back here and having that first opportunity to work with the chamber. And she's been a tremendous mentor to me. Even as she's entered retirement, I've, really relied on her, and we have great, friendship and relationship and lines of communication. And I always I still reach out today and say, hey, I just want to pick your brain on something real quick.
To be able to have that. And if anybody is curious about, again, we're talking with Brandy Miller from the Chamber Alliance, Mason County here. If anybody wants to know Kathy's basically legacy, just go research when she stepped down. There's a Shoreline I think it's in shorelinemedia.net website, and it's literally a full page of the bullet points of what she did for the community here. So if you are interested to learn more, go check that out. So, so anyways, with the chambers, you've been moved up?
And she taught me a lot about boards, managing boards, all of the ins and outs as someone who works for boards. That's a different component than owning your own business and being in charge. When you're a director and you have a board of directors, that's they're your direction. They're your sounding board. They're your feedback.
They're your boss.
They're your boss. Yeah, they can hire and fire you. And so, she taught me a lot about that board development piece, the importance of your board, all that board work. And, she also reinforced part of the work and in the space that we're in with Chamber and the community is being involved in other boards. And so that just furthered my desire to be on different boards, serve on different committees, and just further making those connections and making sure that, as many places as I can be that makes sense for the work that we're doing, that's always valuable for our team, for our work, for our organization, and the members that we serve.
It's been, again, also the importance of boards as well. It's, if you want to have a greater impact, you can absolutely, rather than doing one-on-one mentoring, it's a way to be able to have that impact on a greater level too. So because you can, if it's an organization that you're a part of, if you get on the board, then you can have influence to be able to say, okay, we'd like to see more of this. This has been successful. Basically, executive director, president, go find a way to make that happen.
Yes.
That type of stuff. So
the charge.
Yeah, exactly. So again, we're continuing our conversation here with Brandy Miller from the Chamber Alliance of Mason County. Again, I'm Ryan Howe, and this is Leading West Michigan, a show where we get to learn more about the journeys that our local leaders have they've taken. So from when did you basically get the presidency and CEO? When did you move into that position?
Yeah, so Kathy, actually, I was midway through a school year when I was teaching at CTE, and she reached out to me. And like I said, I still had contract work with the CVB, so I was still working very closely with her. And she said, hey, I'm kind of thinking about retirement soon. I probably have another year and a half. Where are you at? And I was like, I am bored teaching already. And so I found myself in teaching that the repetitive nature of it really became very mundane to me very quickly. I am someone who likes my day to look different every day. I love problem solving. And when you're just kind of on that hamster wheel of the same content presented maybe a little differently year after year, it became a little too mundane for me. And I was like, I would come back.
Everybody gets their strengths. For me teaching for the years that I have, about the third time through, you feel you've got a good basically understanding of the concept at that point. And that's when, again, for different people, that's when you're now able to identify where folks are going to have trouble learning the information ahead of time, and you can get there. So for those that have made teaching a lifelong lesson journey, it's that usually takes, like with anything, takes a couple of years to get it. But once you get that piece locked in, you can then use that to then raise your teaching skill to a whole different level and have a greater impact. So, however, you've got to have, just like there's people who are police officers, there's people who are in business, then there's people who are teachers, and other folks, they've got to be doing something different where they're in a constant state of problem solving or things of that nature, which got you there. So,
absolutely, I have a whole new respect for teachers after having done it. So I've been in my role now a little over 5 years, which feels like a blink, to be honest. But I have, really wanted to not only carry on the great work that has been done before me, but think about what the future looks like and make sure we've got a team that's really sound to move forward and evolve. And
when you say it's been a blink, you have to remember when you moved into position, and then we had 3 years of COVID, and now you're back to somewhat normality. So you haven't really had a chance to get comfortable and even try to get any sort of rhythm. So that, so with that, that blink, that's a big portion of what I want to talk about kind of in our last segment that'll be coming up here in a little bit is spend some time talking about your team, kind of what you see going forward for the chamber, what plans are to be able to help not only keep what's special about Ludington, but also be able to help it move as it's transitioning basically into the future. So you're listening to Leading West Michigan on 102.7 WMOM. You're available at home on your Amazon Alexa or Google Home smart devices. Streaming online at WMOM.FM and live video streams on on the 102.7 WMOM Facebook page and WMOM YouTube channel. So it's time for our final break, and when we get back, again, we're going to cover what's going to be happening next here with Brandy and her work. So stay tuned. We'll see you after the break.
102.7 WMOM, along with our friends at AJ's Family Fun Center, are ready to make you a winner every Friday morning at 8:20 a.m. and every Friday afternoon at 12:20. Here's what you'll win: a family 4-pack, which includes 4 free cart rides and 4 free mini golf coupons. When you hear the cue to call, dial 231-480-1027. Be the correct caller and you're a winner. Good luck from AJ's Family Fun Center and your home for summer fun. 102.7 WMOM.
Summer is here, and that means enjoying great food with great people at the Beer Garden at Styx. Come out and enjoy an outdoor atmosphere complete with your favorite yard games, fire pits, and more. A perfect outing for the whole family. With a fully stocked bar and outdoor menu, there's an option for everybody in the Beer Garden. Styx. Play, dine, party.
Ruby is the birthstone for July. Ruby is one of the most coveted gems, and the name is derived from the Latin word rubere, meaning red, which means the color of love and passion. Victoria's Jewelry has a gorgeous selection of rubies, along with many other stones. Victoria's Jewelry has the largest selection of engagement, wedding, and anniversary rings within an hour's drive. You can get any of Victoria's Jewelry customized just for you or your loved one in all price ranges. Victoria's Jewelry has the newest sterling designer line and features unique Native American pendants, bracelets, and earrings. Did you know Victoria's Jewelry also has beautiful sea and beach glass? Victoria's Jewelry's estate case has expanded, so check it out. Bring in your no longer needed and gently used jewelry. Victoria's Jewelry can evaluate and sell for you on consignment. Mike has over 40 years of experience with jewelry repairs and custom work, which is done right in store. So trust Victoria's Jewelry with one of your biggest assets. Check out Victoria's Jewelry website or stop into Victoria's Jewelry on South James Street in downtown Ludington.
Keep listening for Mom's Fridge Magnets here on WMOM. Underwritten by West Michigan Community Mental Health, Lakeshore Automotive and Tire, McGee Insurance, and Watson Motors. It's less than a minute away.
Corey here from Lakeshore Automotive and Tire. We understand nothing is worse than getting out of work after a long, exhausting day and wanting to feel relief by getting into your car. But what if your car is scorching hot and the air conditioning won't work? You are at that point really regretting not calling Lakeshore Automotive and Tire to get your AC checked. Good news though, Lakeshore Automotive and Tire can get your AC fixed and blowing ice cold temps through your car vents for any make and model. Call Lakeshore Automotive and Tire at 231-425-3526. Again, that's 231-425-3526.
Here at Watson Motors, our team is wanting you to take advantage of this spectacular deal. Right now, we are giving you a 4-wheel alignment for only $115. Watson Motors wants you to extend the life of your tires. That's why we are giving you this amazing offer. Watson Motors, our name means a great deal.
Run the Pier 5K is an annual foot race and fun run held in downtown Manistee. The race takes participants out and onto Manistee's North Pier and around its iconic lighthouse as part of a 5K. Join us on Saturday, August 12th for this historic run around Manistee. If your organization has an event that you'd like to promote for free, reach out to us. Mom's Fridge Magnet is a free community calendar of announcements and underwritten by Watson Motors, Lakeshore Automotive and Tire, McGee Insurance, and West Michigan CMH on 102.7 Mom FM.
You're tuned in to Leading West Michigan, and today's special guest is Brandy Miller of Chamber Alliance of Mason County. Once again, your host, Ryan Howe on 102.7 WMOM.
Welcome back. So we're on to the final segment of our conversation with Brandy Miller, the Chamber Alliance of Mason County. Mm-hmm. So during our last little segment here, I'd love to hear more about your team, what they're working on, and basically just, things that have been happening here with the Chamber.
Yeah. I have an amazing team. We are small but mighty. Outside of myself, we have a finance and membership coordinator, Polly Meyer, which a lot of people probably know. Yes, everybody loves Polly. And she's been with the organization longer than I have. So she's a great historian of the evolution of the chamber and certainly very skilled at managing our membership and all the financial aspects of not only the chamber but the other organizations that we're responsible for. Kristen Smith, who is our communications coordinator and programming manager, she is often seen at a lot of our business education stuff, handling all the communications outbound from the chamber and our other partners as well. Newer to the team is Mindy Dangler, and she is our community event coordinator, and she has recently taken on some of our administrative responsibilities as well. And then Christy Zimmerman and Jody Maloney both work for other organizations, other boards, but are employees or extensions of our team. So Christy Zimmerman is our economic development director, and Jody Maloney is our Mason County Promise director. Okay. So we, like I said, we kind of are a one-stop shop, and we really focus on being able to be a resource to everybody, and most people can find what they're looking for when they stop by.
Well, and that's as somebody who was returning here, and although I grew up in this area and folks around my age or, in the business community here, nobody knows who I am. I came back. So when I made the transition back here, your staff was so great. And I had questions and I needed to know, hey, who should I be talking to about this? And you guys always got back quickly with any emails that went on there, any conversation, introduction emails, or, hey, this is the person who handles this. Great. And
Yes.
so your staff has been fantastic. And then as I learned more about, wait, your chamber also does this?
Yes.
The amount the amount of work that this chamber does comparison to others is much larger, correct? Or at least you have a greater scope?
Yes, greater scope. We are one of maybe 2 chambers in the entire state that handle not only chamber responsibilities, but Convention of Visitors Bureau responsibilities. We handle economic development. And then we have other ties with other organizations like our Charter Boat Association, Mason County Promise. So scope and size, we have just under 500 business members of the chamber.
That's amazing.
And so we often, even though we are a small town and a smaller county, we often hang kind of with the big dogs in the chamber world, which is something to be proud of. And we really work hard to make sure that we maintain that reputation and quality, even though we have our hands in a lot.
Yeah, no, and we have to parent too. Like, chamber membership here is just so important because, one, you can just get access to everybody, but 2, when something needs to get done, and again, we're from a smaller area, you look around and it's us. So if you're not, if you need to get something done and the chamber can help, they've got the pool of folks that typically would be like, okay, you know what, we'll figure out a way to make this happen. It's important for the community. We'll make it work.
Yep. And that's something like we work hard as a team to make sure we're doing is just show up in the ways that our members need us. And, we are not afraid of change. We're not afraid of flexing in different spaces. We want to make sure we're meeting the needs, and that's not always doing the same thing year after year.
And, I'll say this as we're finishing up here the last couple minutes of the show, the organizations take on the personality of their leader. And so in this case, during your 5 years that you've been there and also while you're there, but between previous, but also this current regime, you can see a shift. And I'm certain folks that look around and how it is the evolution of what the chamber is doing and how they're meeting the needs of the community and the chamber members is shifting more in line with what you may not see it.
Yeah.
But I bet you your staff and other folks around there are like, hey, you know what? We're going to take the lead from Brandy here on kind of how that she operates and be a reflection of that. So as somebody on the outside, I can see it the same way that anytime, prior to this, we only talked a few times, and again, because you're busy and I'm not the only chamber member, so I'm aware of that. But every time I did, you were present. You got me to whoever I needed to talk about. If I had a question, you were able to either get me an answer or point me in the right direction.
Good.
So I can imagine as someone basically, I'm a sole business coach in the area.
Yeah.
That for someone as small as an impact as I have currently, but you gave me as much time as you could, which was great. So that's a great reflection on you and also with your team. So if you haven't heard that, I just want to make sure that gets enunciated.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Good. So again, I want to thank Brandy for coming on today. Again, Brandy Miller, the president and CEO, the Chamber Alliance of Mason County. So that's about all the time we have today. Again, thank you so much. It's been great hearing about this. So as for me, I am always looking for new leaders to have on this program and give them an opportunity to share their stories. So I'm interested in leaders in every aspect of the community. So if you know a leader making an impact, please go to summitbusinessguides.com/leadingwestmichigan and submit their name for consideration. And if you'd like to learn more about what I do to help organizations as a business consultant and coach, visit summitbusinessguides.com. You can follow me at Summit Business Guides on Facebook or send me a note at ryan@summitbusinessguides.com. Join us next week when we'll be talking with the Mason County Sheriff Kim Cole to learn more about serving the public and leading West Michigan.
You've been listening to Leading West Michigan with Ryan Howe, a weekly program where you hear success stories of local officials and business leaders. Join us next week for more of Leading West Michigan right here on 102.7 WMOM.